yesterday at Citi Field. Go Yanks. And you should see the people sitting for the national anthem for God Bless America. It's really just, I can't believe that we've come down to that. And I don't know. We don't go to the movie theater to be lectured to and to have somebody throw their ideology onto us. I wonder if it'll be successful.
You know what it says on his cape? MS-13.
Wow.
Is it superimposed or it actually says that?
It is super.
Just on the knuckles.
Superimposed.
One more thing is.
We're the ones that changed as a country. We're the ones that are different. We're the ones that are no longer the same country we used to be. You know, and now we look at Superman and we don't like what we see anymore because it reflects all the things that we're not. It reflects all the things that we're no longer representing. And we know that. And something about us just repels hope, repels justice and truth. Because that's what Superman stands for, by the way. Those of you that don't know, he represents justice. He represents truth and the American way. He represents hope. You know, and he also represents immigrants, which is another thing that America doesn't like any of those things. Not right now, we don't. I mean, think about it. And that's why there was such a big initial aversion to Superman. You know, because if you notice, we have no problem with the new versions of Superman. The more quote unquote edgy versions of Superman. And I know a lot of you are saying, oh, the Superman is dark. Now, here's the thing. The original Superman was very much not dark. The original Superman in his first form was about hope, justice, you know, truth in the American way. He was very much a Boy Scout. It was only later on that he became a darker character with different iterations and different versions of Superman. That's when he started becoming that. But there was a build up to that. So we can't get dark Superman before we get the lighter version of Superman, the Hope Superman. We need to get that one first. Why? Because then the change up is what's going to make us be like, no, Superman, why are you doing this? You know, it's like when Hulk went heel. You remember Hulk Hogan from WWE? How he turned into the heel? And everybody was like, oh, he's a bad guy now. You remember that? That's it. It's because the reason it was so shocking is because he was always the good guy. He was always the quote unquote the wrestler's Superman. And watching him do that quick turn is what made us, you know, what captivated us. But the thing is, guys, that's not why we hate Superman now. The reason we hate Superman now is because, and the reason we represent, we relate more to someone like Homelander is because we see ourselves as Homelander now. As a country, we see ourselves as Homelander. We see ourselves as Omni-Man. You know, just look at the things that are happening in the country today. We can't relate to Superman. Superman makes us feel bad about who we are. And he's not even doing anything. He's just being his own self. You know, you watch that newscaster talking about we're not here to be lectured. Superman's always been that way. He's not going to change for you. Superman's always been Superman. Superman's always been an immigrant. For those of you that don't know, Superman was invented by Jewish immigrants. And they were supposed to be representing what it feels like to be a Jewish immigrant. So, for those of you that are saying, oh, this is woke mentality, I don't see it. I just see you're the one that's changed. You're the one that now has more in common with villains than with heroes. And now that you know this, now Superman rubs you the wrong way. You know, what do you think Superman would think if he knew that a government of the world, whichever government it was keeping human beings, in cages, surrounded by alligators, and laughing at the idea of these humans being eaten by these alligators? What do you think Superman would do? What side would you think Superman would take? And this is the type of things that America used to not be down with. These are the type of things that, you know, someone like Superman wasn't down with either. And you start to realize why this country has such an adverse reaction to the new Superman movie. It's because we know now that we are not the good guys. You know, we really never have been, but now we're really starting to fall into our villain role. You know, we're really starting to see who we are, in my opinion. And I think sometimes it's subconsciously, and sometimes it's very much on purpose, and sometimes it's just we don't realize that the reason we can't relate to Superman anymore is because we're just too far gone. By the way, there was a flood in Alligator Auschwitz, which is funny to me because a lot of the right-wing Christians would always say when there was an earthquake or there was a flood in Miami, that's because there's all the gays there. That's what they would say. Oh, it's because they have a lot of gay people there and God is judging them. But let me remind you that COVID-19 happened under Trump, your chosen one. It happened under him. And all of the disasters that are about to happen, you know, are going to be under him too. This would have been a sign, by the way, by God himself, if this was a nightclub full of gay people. This would have been a sign to you people that God was punishing you. And maybe this is a sign that God is punishing you, that God is telling you not to do this. Maybe it is. Who knows? But I know that if the shoe was on the other side, that's what you would say. You know, why do you guys think that the files aren't being released? Because we're not the good guys. Guys, because we're not about truth. We're not about justice. We're just not. And because... And this is something that J.D. Vance talked about, by the way. J.D. Vance, the vice president of these United States, right after, what was the two guys said, the lady, I forgot her name. She said that there is no Epstein files and there is no list. There is no client list. And that Epstein killed himself. That's what she said. And it's not, Kash Patel was the other guy who said the same thing. Right. And why do you think they said that? Because then JD Vance, as I was saying, sorry for deviating, but JD Vance comes out and says, would you want to see the list if it meant that Republicans would go to jail? Now, what do you think he said that? What do you think he said something so crazy like that? Because I'm not saying that it's just Republicans in the list, but I'm pretty sure I could put money on this, guaranteed 100%, that most of the names in those files are going to be predominantly right-wing conservatives. I guarantee it. And not only that, but he's going to be in there too. There's no doubt in my mind that he's going to be in there. And this whole thing that people try to say that it was the left that was pedophiles is crazy to me. I can't find the list of I had a list of Republicans senators that have been accused and gone to court for sexual molestation and child abuse. And it's predominantly Republicans. You start to think about it. So why do they attack these people so much? Is because that's what evil people do. They accuse you of things that they're doing themselves. You know, and it's also one of the things that evil people do in their playbook. That's what they do.
I like that because I think that the immigrant story, I mean, clearly that's kind of what he's about. You know, he's come to Earth, and maybe that's a metaphor for America or a metaphor for a sort of Western civilization or even just the modern world. And he has to find his place in it. And regardless of what gifts he's offering to the world, and how he wants to not only fit in, but also to make it better, he still could be met with resistance, and he still could be sort of looked at like an outsider, and all the sort of things that cause him pain, and where his real struggle comes from.
We have to call immigration.
I told Javier he'd be safe here, and I meant it.
I want to help this boy as much as you do, but I took an oath to uphold the law.
All he's trying to do is find his mom.
I know, but we have to go through the proper legal channels.
Was it legal when you forged my adoption papers? I'm an illegal immigrant, Mom. You've been harboring me for over 17 years.
Your situation was entirely different. We had to protect you.
And I need to protect Javier. If I don't defend him, who will?